We are headed down the home stretch of college football. And of course, Steve Merrill stopping by from Wager Talk to help us break it all down here at the Voice of College Football. Always appreciate stopping Steve's appearances here at the Voice of College Football. Steve, we are down to the nitty gritty. And of course, Georgia collapsed last week at Ole Miss. They've got a chance to rebound, but they have no room to wiggle right now. And Tennessee comes to town as a 9.5-point dog.
Yeah, and I think Tennessee is going to be one of the more public underdogs this week. 9.5 obviously looks really big against a Georgia team that just picked up their second loss, as you mentioned. But a couple things. First of all, my simulation projected a 3.5-point outright win by Ole Miss last week. So I did think the wrong team was favored there. I'm not going to really downgrade Georgia much. And it was also turnovers once again. They've had 11 turnovers their last 4 games, including 9 turnovers, 3 in each of their last 3 games. Back at home, I look for a better effort, less turnovers. And also, there is actually line value, believe it or not. My 10,000 game simulation favors Georgia by over 12 points on average. And if you look this summer, the look-ahead line at the Circa in Las Vegas back in June was 15. So I know the line seems big, but to put it in perspective, it's actually a little short now. And I like this matchup. I like the do-or-die situation for Georgia. I still think they're one of the best teams in the country. And with their backs against the wall, look for a big effort here. And don't forget, Tennessee, after going 4-0 against the spread to start the season and blowing out all those non-conference foes, they've gone just 1-4 against the number of their last 5. So I like Georgia here minus the 9.5. It's a little bit of a fade the public situation.
Steve, when there's a situation like a Georgia, considered by most to be the best team in the country entering the season, and they underperform week after week after week, and then they finally stumble a couple times and then backs up against the wall, and an 18-point loss at Ole Miss, how much does Vegas continue to bank on the talent coming through and the name brand versus do they take recent poor performances into evaluation?
Here's what's really surprising to me, Mark. I pointed out that look-ahead line was 15 this summer. My simulation's 12. DraftKings had a bettable number last week before the games were played, and you would assume that was probably higher. I was shocked. It was actually 8.5, and now it's 9.5. So the betting markets have actually pushed it higher than it was a week ago, even with the bad showing. And Tennessee didn't cover either, but they still almost outgained Mississippi State by 200 yards. They'd still won that game by margin. So that's another reason I think this is a little bit of a sharp square divide here. I think the public is lining up on Tennessee, yet the line has gone a little higher than the look-ahead line, which is surprising even to me. So we'll see how it plays out. But, the look-ahead lines, like I talked about in June, we talked about this last week. Notre Dame was -3 over Florida State back in June. My simulation had it at 31 last week. I still didn't think the line was high enough, and they got blown out again. So you do have to make sure something hasn't changed. In Florida State's case, they're just not any good. I still think Georgia's a really good team. And yes, the turnovers are a concern. But once again, in a less hostile environment, I don't expect them to have 3 turnovers again this week.
It's a great time to be a sports fan. You've got the NFL, college football, the NBA, and now college basketball is underway, and you can catch Steve's complete work at wagertalk.com. And of course, the under the radar selection that Steve provides us here at the Voice of College Football each and every week, exclusive on Patreon /MarkRogersTV, or go to our main channel and become a premium YouTube member. College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under the radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.